everyone. I'm Christina Viafore. I am the Director of HR for Caddy.
I'm Carrie Fishner. I am the Director of the Library. Sorry, I'm a lot shorter. So.
All right. Non-classroom assessment. Yes. Let's get excited about assessment.
Lunch is next.
I mean, assessment really is, I think it's it's fun, right? Because it's fun looking at what you're doing and then trying to make it better, right? That's fun. We always want to be better. We want to be the best. So in our keynote address, which I thought was wonderful, Middle States, it's coming, right? We all know that's happening. There is a standard 4 that is the support of the student experience. So that's what this kind of non-classroom assessment is all about. Evaluation, right? We're evaluating what we're doing, right? And that's very important. And the purpose of that evaluation, the purpose of assessment, is to improve and get better. So we're doing this all the time. We're feeding students. We're enrolling students. We're orientating students when they get here. We're keeping students warm. We're keeping students safe, right? There's a lot of things that we do every day that supports that student experience. So assessment is about capturing that. When we were starting this, I started to think, really, what is the difference between non-classroom assessment and classroom assessment? So there's subtle differences, but they're really pretty much the same thing, right? We're improving the student learning. We're improving their experience. So while classroom assessment determines success of pretty much just student learning, we also are doing that. But in addition to that, we're also determining the success of the services that we provide for our students as well. So we can do that through taking counts of how many students are coming into our offices, focus groups, surveys, of course, and just looking at all that data.
It worked. All right. So as we decide, we're working on our presentation, we kind of wanted to go back to basics and just touch on the first things first. And think back to our plans and where everyone is back, or where everyone started. And everyone starts with our mission, right? Every unit, every department has a mission. And that is, what is our purpose? Why are we here? What is your area here for? What are you trying to do? And hopefully you all should have a written mission for your unit, for your area, and that should be in your department plan. That should be on that 3-year assessment plan that you have. And if you don't, that should be what you're working on this afternoon, all right? And if you haven't taken a look at that in a few years, if it's been out there for, 5, 10 years and nobody's gone back and taken a look at it, I would encourage you to go back and look at that again. I know that's something that we did in our area this past year. We took a look at it and we said, wow, this is really clunky. It was a whole huge paragraph, and we were able to get it down to 2 sentences to really get to the heart of what is it that we do. And so we streamlined it, we simplified it, and it says what we wanted it to say. So your mission is, really that, what is our purpose? And then you have your goals. And your goals are the meaningful statement of your unit's purpose. Okay, so what are the things that you're doing that really are reflecting year to year? They don't change. They're just the things that you're doing on a yearly basis that are how you're accomplishing what your purpose is. All right, so they're not changing really. Your goals are kind of those touchstones that you're coming back to every year to say, yep, we're doing what we're supposed to be doing. And then you have your outcomes, okay? And so this is what we were talking about a little bit, what Dr. Meckel was talking about, and those may be operational or those may be student learning outcomes. And depending on what you're doing in your area. You may have some of both. You may just have more one or the other. And these are, how are your goals being achieved, right? And these may be changing. They may change year to year. As you're assessing these, as you're going back and looking at these, you may say, oh, that didn't work. We thought this was great. We really worked on this. We thought that this was like the best outcome ever. We're really excited to do this. And as we came back at the end of the year and assessed this, it stunk. It is, we could not assess this. It didn't work. And that's okay, right? That's what assessment is. It is okay to have something that doesn't work. You are going to have things like that. And that's something that Dr. Meckel talked about too, that in this self-report, we're going to have things like that, and we need to be honest about that. They want to see that. So you can say that. And then you come back and you rewrite it, and you say, all right, that didn't work. So looking at what we did and how things went, how do we rewrite it? What do we say? How do we look at what happened and change it? So that next year we're going to do something different, or the next year in the cycle that we're assessing this goal or this outcome, right? Because we don't do it every year. We don't have to do it every year. And then what are you already doing that can be incorporated into your plans and assessment strategies, right? You don't have to reinvent the wheel. You're already doing assessment initiatives, whether you realize it or not. Okay? There are things that you are doing in your offices, in your departments, in your program areas where you are doing assessment and you may not realize it. So stopping and thinking about those things. What are the things that you're doing every day, every year, every semester that you can take advantage of and really pull from that information, pull from that data. Dr. Meckel talked about how they were getting all those calls in the provost's office. So take and record those calls, keep track of those. That's something we do in the library. So we're going to talk about some of the examples that Christina and I have used in our areas, just to give you some ideas of some of the things that you might be able to take and run with, and maybe get some inspiration from. And then we'll have some questions, and we'll move from there and try to help maybe some areas that you might have. Let's see what we got.
Right, just to add to that is when you're assessing, right, it's the documentation. We're doing a lot of things already. It's that documentation part, and that's really where assessment kind of comes in. And yeah, that's the hard part, but you might as well get credit for what you're doing, right? All right, so one of the examples that I've brought, which actually just today, it kind of dawned on me that we have a student learning. This is a student learning outcome. I just hadn't, even it says students in it, but I just hadn't kind of, dawned on me. But so that's great enough. I learned today too. Okay, so CADDY's mission. We are dedicated to supporting the success of SUNY Delhi and each and every student through all of their endeavors and programs. So you can see our goal 1 is attached to that part of our mission statement. CADDY will collaborate and support SUNY Delhi's success. All right, so the second part of our mission is that we and all of our employees are dedicated to our core mission, which is providing the highest quality dining and catering services for the best value in a warm and welcoming atmosphere for all of our customers. So those will come in other examples. But so for that first one, CADDY will collaborate and support SUNY Delhi. So we have different outcomes for that. So the outcome that I'm going to talk to today is that students will demonstrate professional workplace behavior and etiquette. So we noticed, students call out of work. How many people have student employees here? So if you have student employees, you can have a student learning outcome. All right, that's probably the easiest way you can get a student learning outcome is to look at your students and help develop them. So when we did our measure of how are we going to, we have to figure out how you're going to measure this outcome. So one of our managers, because we have a contract that students have to sign, and they're allowed, a certain number of no-call, no-shows. We do allow a couple of those, and then we try to teach that, there's consequences to actions, right? So one of our managers had a great spreadsheet, and we were able to analyze the no call, no shows. And in fall of 2017, it was 16% of students showed up for all of their shifts. They got them covered. They got their shift covered. They called out appropriately. They followed the correct process. 16%. It's like gross, right? So I'm like, oh my God. So the first thing we did for the spring of 2018 is all we did was implement a student contract. So we had every student now signed this contract that was clear about the behaviors that we want to see, showing up to work on time, calling out, getting your shift covered. We have a lot of student employees. If you can get someone else to cover your shift, we're not going to hold that against you. We just need someone to perform those duties. So after we just implemented that simple contract, we saw that 16% rise to 33%. Yes, success. But of course, the purpose of assessment is, when Dr. Meckel talked about closing the loop, like we're not done right now, right? 33%, yeah, it's better, but come on, 33%? I think we can still do more. So this semester we've done a lot more. We've implemented a student orientation. So there's a lot more that's happening. We're actually bringing our students back early, and they're coming back for a training day in January, which we've never done before. And now we're going to see how this goes, and this will be, if you want to come and work for Caddy, you have to come back a day early and attend this training in January. Maybe eventually it'll be training in August, coming back early in August. So, there's a lot out there, right, that we can do to raise that 33%. So that's my first example, and really just today, I was thinking about student learning outcomes, and I'm like, yeah, this is totally a student learning outcome. So I'm going to kind of just change that, add that to my plan. That now I have 2 students. All right, next.
So you'll see up here is the library's mission statement, which is that the Resnick Library is committed to providing information resources in support of SUNY Delhi's academic programs and teaching the community to use those resources effectively in a supportive cross-curricular environment that fosters study, research, and collaborative learning. So as I said, it used to be several sentences. It was a large paragraph, and we kind of condensed it all down and tried to get it. This is what we do. And so our first goal is to provide adequate resources in support of the academic programs at SUNY Delhi. And one of the outcomes that we have for that goal is that the library will provide access to collections aligned with curricular and research needs, which kind of makes sense because that's what the library is supposed to do, right? You're supposed to be able to come in and find the resources that you need to get what you need to do for your classes, for your research. And so some of the measures that we used toward that were satisfaction surveys. We did focus groups, and we used the SOS survey, which is the SUNY something. Student opinion survey. Wow. It's only Tuesday, guys. And so for this, this was our goal that we assessed last year. So we do have our data. We were able to report back on this and kind of finish that assessment spiral. And in 2 more years, we'll come back to this goal and see where we are with this. But what we did was we did a combination of these things. So we did a satisfaction survey in the spring, and we were able to distribute that to faculty, staff, and students. And we didn't have a large return on that, not as much as we would have liked, but we did still receive around 70 surveys. And so we were able to take that data and look at the questions, look at the results, and then from that information that we gathered, we were able to develop the focus questions that we used for the focus groups. Now, the focus groups that we had were not run by the library staff. we actually partnered with the South Central Regional Library Council, who is a group that we work with through a consortium, and they brought in staff, and they actually ran the focus groups for us. So we used our resources. We partnered with a group that we're already associated with, and they came in and they did the focus groups for us, and they actually wrote us a report afterward. So they worked with us. They actually worked with Caitlin, who's our assessment librarian, to develop the questions based on the data from our surveys. So we used the surveys, as Dr. Muckle said, to kind of find out some of the information we wanted to dive deeper into. And we came up with, I think we had about 10 questions maybe that we asked in the focus groups. And in the focus groups, we had one for faculty and staff, and we had one for students. And so then the South Central Regional Library Council staff ran the focus groups for us at 2 different times. And then they were able to write those reports back and submit those to us on their findings with their recommendations based on the information that they gathered. So then we were able to take those recommendations and use that as we looked at our budgeting process this past year, as we looked at some of our own data that we had gathered throughout the year and make some decisions on some of our services. So as we were looking at that, we were looking specifically at our collections and aligning it with curricular and research needs. One of the questions had to do with making sure that people are aware of our resources and our collections. And one of the things that came back was that not everybody knows what we have in our collections. So one of the changes that we made was this year, if you read the Campus Voice, every issue that's come out, one of our librarians has written a column in the Campus Voice highlighting a section of the collection. So they've each chosen something unique or new to highlight and have been writing in the Campus Voice. And we've actually noticed that we've had in those collection areas, we've seen some increase in circulation, and we've seen students come in and ask about it. So it has been proving that it is working. We also used the student opinion survey data, and in that we looked at these library-specific questions that compared us to other libraries, and then the campus-specific. We compared that data to the data from 3 years ago. And so what's nice about the SOS data is that we do have that back every 3 years when that comes out. So we're able to use that historical data to kind of see, are we maintaining service levels? Is that comparative? Where's that going? So that's a nice way, if you have questions that you use to look at in your area, that's SUNY data, right? That's data that they're doing for you that you can take advantage of. You can talk to Joanna, you can request to look at that if you don't get that normally. That's data that's already out there and that's done that you can just take advantage of. So there are a few library-specific questions there that we're able to use. So that really has helped us in that area that we're able to take a look at that. We do other things when it comes to this question. We do every year, we do circulation counts. We work with our faculty and staff, things like that. Regular library type data. But specifically last year, we worked on the focus groups and a satisfaction survey that we were able to use.
Okay, so remember our mission, that we want to provide the highest quality dining and catering services for the best value. So this goal links to that part, the best value. So we want to provide dining and catering services at affordable prices. So one of our outcomes is that we offer price incentives to increase the use of caddy services. So the different measures that we have for that include the $5 deals that we have. Every person who has an ID gets ID coupons that you can use at the units. And then we also have Delhi dollars that you can add to your ID. And we do offer incentives for that. So, you can add 50 and get $5 free. And also when you use Delhi dollars, you get 8% off at all dining venues. So those are the measures that we chose to try and look at the price incentives that we offer for caddy services. So for the first one, we got some student feedback about $5 Friday. The dinner was so popular that students were like staying away from MAC. So because of that, we did decide to increase the dinner price to $8. So it's still, a discount from the normal price. But so we did, and because of that, we thought we probably would see less, and we did. All right. So we looked at that, and it was still the most popular night of the week, but it wasn't as popular. But we kind of thought that might happen. And we also have $5 combo day here in the Commons, so that's where we really saw a lot of increase. Traffic during lunch increased by 46%, and on Fridays it actually, for lunch anyway, it increased by 38%. So we are still seeing increases because lunch is still $5, so we get all you guys to come and enjoy MAC. So these days still remain popular. So it gives us, the reassurance that, we need to keep these because these are getting people to come in, and we're hoping that when they come in, they're not just coming in on $5 day. They're also going to come in on a, regular day because you want to enjoy the atmosphere and the food. Okay, so that's the $5 deals. So then we have the ID coupons. So when the planner went away, we used to have our coupons in the planner. So when that went away, we're like, what are we going to do? So we looked at, with our ID system, we could actually put virtual coupons. So everyone has 4 coupons. You can use them for a meal at McDonald Hall, a cone at Treat Street. You can get an extra side in the Commons. And then the C-store had a hot dog. So we looked at those, and from 17-18 to 18-19, coupon usage increased by 157%. So a lot of that it was the first year, from the first year to the second year, so people knew about it, right? So that helps. So we'll see what happens, in the next round of assessment. But that was just something that we could get actual real data on, and it shows, that we're offering discounts, right? And we give everyone an opportunity to use those. So all faculty, staff have them, all students, commuters on campus, everyone who gets that ID, it's like you have your own meal plan, and it has those 4 coupons on it. So then we have the Delhi Dollar incentive promotion. So that was a little more interesting because I actually found that between the 2 years, people were adding less Delhi Dollars, but they were using more. So, and of course, Delhi Dollars roll over. So the incentive participation went down, but usage went up, which is like, but what that means is that they participated in the incentives in the previous year, that rolled over, so usage was up. So now it'll be really interesting when we look at this with the addition of the Barnes & Noble Cafe. So these are just different measures that we were looking to try and assess that our price incentives are increasing use of services.
All right. So one of our goals at the library is to provide a supportive environment for study, research, and collaborative learning. Some of our outcomes there are that the library will provide clean, inviting, and adequate space conducive to study and research and be responsive to student needs. And our measures there were a survey. We take patron counts every hour that the library is open, every day that students are on campus. And we also use turnaway data. So every time we turn a student away, whether they're looking for a study room that all of the rooms are filled, or they want an item that we don't have because all of them are checked out, we track that data. And then we also did just a general space survey. So I'm going to show you some examples of that in just a second. And then we also have students will engage with library staff in a variety of formats when seeking assistance. I have SLO written there. It's sort of a student learning outcome. They're not really necessarily learning anything, although it could be a student learning outcome in terms of them learning new technology, participating in certain things. So it's kind of on the borderline of a student learning outcome. And then our measures there, again, the data that we're tracking, we use Desk Tracker, which is a software system that we purchase and use in the library. And we also use our Ask Us 24/7 and library help stats, which are the chat services that we use. Erica stepped away. Erica is running the PowerPoint and has my links. So what I have are some links just to show you some of the things that we use, so that you can see. Oh, here comes Erica. Okay. Thanks, Erica. It's okay. Oh, it's down in the. You might have to pull out of the presentation because it's in the notes. So that's okay. Maybe. All right. It's okay. Okay, hold on. you type in guides.delphi.edu assess day, it should show now. Yeah. There we go. I just had to change the settings. Alright, so we're running short on time. I just realized we actually filled an hour, Christina. We didn't think we would. So just, if you want to click on the face surveys, Erica, and then, oh, do we? Okay. And you want to click on the scan face survey. So this is the face survey, or the space survey that we did in the library. So we left blank pages around the library, and we asked students to fill them out for us. So we left them scattered around in different locations, and students were asked to indicate for us which area of the library is their favorite place to study by marking on the map that we had drawn and indicating where they enjoyed studying in the building. And then we asked them to draw a picture about how they felt about studying in the library. And then telling us in words about their picture, so describing to us what their picture meant. And we garnered quite a few responses, and they were really interesting. So then we took the time to go through and we scanned them all in, and we analyzed the data that we received, and it really helped us. It showed us the areas of the library where students were studying, whether it was the quiet sections, the silent sections, if they were coming in and using the lower level. And this actually helped us when we went then to purchase new furniture. We purchased new study carrels for the silent section using data from this. We were able to then use the data that the students indicated through this. We also did a dot survey, and we had our information from the turnaways from our counts of students looking for silent and quiet study spaces in our study rooms. And we were able to use that data when we put in our budget requests to say, students are looking for this type of study space. This is what they want. And then we were able to get that money in our request. And so, but this was just, it was a different way to elicit that information. And it was kind of fun. And then we actually took this information and we posted the results to students. We gave them some percentages about this many students come to the library for the quiet space, students study in this area, and we did post the faces. We used that as the border of the board that we put up. So it was really interesting, but it was a different way to use some of the information. And then if you want to go back, Erica, and if you click on the heat maps, and then if you want to open the spring 2019. So this is, once it opens up there, this is based on our patron counts. So as I said, we do count in the library every hour that the library is open when students are on campus. We walk around with clipboards. Someone in the library, one of our staff members, students, or faculty, walks around, and we physically count where people are in the building, what they're doing. So we count based on location, and so we have, if you were to scroll over on the bottom, it shows you main floor, third floor, each of the study room areas, and then the computer room. And now we also count in where the cafe was to see how students are using that area. And then we aggregate that information. We do it by the month. We keep track of it. We use that each semester, and then we can compare that data. We pull it out, we can compare it and look at it semester to semester. We can look at it fall to fall, yearly to yearly, and we can see kind of what the trends are. And we've used that to adjust our hours as we look at finals week each year. That's helped us determine how late we're going to stay open. We've adjusted our opening hours based on when students are actually in the building things like that. For breaks, when we close, if we stay open till 5, if we're going to close at 4 the day that the residence halls close, things like that. This information has really helped us to adjust those hours. It also helps us with programming. When we're getting ready to offer programming, finals week we do a lot of stress-less programming. When we go to do any sort of collaborative things with faculty, where they're bringing in a program, things like that, we can use this data to know when are we really going to be busy, when are people going to be in the building, typically. So this helps us know kind of what our head counts are going to be, what traffic is. So it really gives us a good information for that. And we do sometimes get down to, okay, so we know that 51 students are typically in the computer lab at 2 o'clock on whatever day of the week that is. I can't see. So what are they doing? So we can get into there. We can actually look at that. If we were to talk to CIS, we can get into there and see what programs they're using. What are they doing? But we could also look and say, okay, if they're on the second floor, are they on the computers or are they at the group tables? And we've done that at times where we've actually broken the data down that minutely. So it does give us really good information. And the heat maps are great to look at. They give you good information there as well. So we use Desk Tracker, which is, as I said, it's a software program. We can tell it what kind of information we're going to put into it. So we do our turnaway data there. We do our patron counts. We take them on paper and then input them, and then we can export it into a great report. We also keep track of every question that is asked of our staff at the front desk, in their offices, all of our reference data. We put all of that into Desk Tracker, and then we can pull it out, and we can play with the results and really run some interesting reports. So we keep all of that information. So if anybody wants to see that, I'm happy to show you the program, so you can take a look at it. But it gives us really great information that we can use and do a lot of neat things with. So, thanks, Erica. Yeah, you can go back to that.
All right, so everyone needs to have a survey, right? It has to be part somewhere of your measures. So our third goal is to create a high-quality product that meets the customer's needs. The outcome that we're looking for that is to analyze student feedback regarding food options. So, and the different measures that we do for that are the student opinion survey, which actually the last one I think was it done last year or the year before. We jumped up 0.7. So we were pretty happy about that. And then we just did the NACUF survey this fall. How many people took the NACUF survey? Online. Did you come and have a banana split? So that NACUF survey is more like just for dining, where the student opinion survey is like, oh my god, everything under the sun. This NACUF survey, we tend to do the year after we do the student opinion survey, so we can kind of see, get a little more detail on each unit, because you can go in and you can rate actually each unit, so we get a lot more feedback from NACUFs. But it's still good with the student opinion survey. Going up 0.7 points is really pretty happy about it. So those are our examples. Oh, you have another one. Okay.
I was asked to add one that had a specific student learning outcome. So this is I don't have a lot to talk about. This is to instruct campus community in the effective use of information resources. This is the goal that we're working on this year. So this is actually what we're in the middle of. And so one of our outcomes is a student learning outcome specifically, which is students will be able to assess, access, evaluate, and organize information in support of research and life information needs. And so the measures that we're going to be working with this year is the writing across the curriculum data. So we're going to take a look at that because that does have a specific rubric that is using information learning outcomes. And so one of our measures is that 60% of the students will meet or exceed the information learning piece of that rubric. And then we're also looking at the student opinion survey. We're going to look back at that and how much is this college, the question, how much is this college contributing to your growth in acquiring information or using information technology effectively. And so there's that question, which we're going to go back and look at. And then the other piece of that is that we have selected assignment information for specific classes, where the librarians have essentially been embedded in those courses and have helped to develop assignments. And a couple of those courses are Nursing 600, English 100, and then we have several vets courses where there is very specific information that we know that the librarians have helped to teach and specifically have been involved with. And so then they're also involved in the grading of those courses. So they're going to be able to really check to make sure that what their outcome is coming across and that the students have actually achieved that. And so we'll be able to assess that at the end of this year once all those courses have been completed. So that's our goal for that. And then those outcomes are going to vary with each course because they're specific to the assignment and to the course. But that's one that's a very specific student learning outcome that's related to the library we have. So I was asked to include.
All right, so the biggest thing to remember is that you don't have to do everything every year. So I had 3 different goals, but I'm not assessing them all at the same time because it would just be really bad. So the way everything is set up and the plan is set up, it's a 3-year recurring cycle, right? So when I assessed last year the student call-outs, we're now during those 3 years we're doing stuff, right? Those 3 years are where you're going to do stuff to try and increase that mark. So hopefully when I go and reassess, that 33% is going to be 50% or 34%. I don't know. We'll see. Well, that's when all the stuff that you now have done, like, did it work? Right? That's the point. And if it worked, yes, keep doing it. But then what else? Right? Unless you get 100%. That would be awesome. But it's always, you're always trying to get better. And if we did get to 100%, that would be amazing. But then it's trying to figure out what else, right? What else can we do to now support our students? So the plan is living, right? Things are gonna change. Your mission and your goals are pretty much gonna stay the same, but those outcomes, those can change because as you assess, you're gonna learn and improve, right? So the purpose of assessment, we plan, we collect, we reflect, and then improve, right? And the process takes time, 3 years, right? For just one cycle. That's a long time, right? But you need time to analyze, right? You need time to do all that stuff and then make those improvements. And you can change along the way too, right? So maybe you do like a mid-year kind of assessment. That's what I want to do this spring. I just can't wait, really. I want to see what we have for spring 2019. Are we going in the right way? I hope we are.
So, at this point we have time, what techniques are you using? What techniques are you using outside of the classroom? What are you doing? Do you have questions? Is there something that we can try to answer or help you with? I think every department, every unit is going to approach things differently because we are different. We all do very specific or unique things. In our department, I have a librarian who has assessment in her job title. We specifically hired for that. And we have a library assessment team. Yeah, it's because of assessment. So, we did this because I wasn't, it's not fun for everybody. So we've set up something that works for us, but think about those things that you can do. How are you, what can we do? How can we help you? That's what this day is about. What can we do to try to help and answer questions, or what can we share amongst each other? Yeah, absolutely. They are. I think they're in Vanco. Do you know, Erica? They should. The slides should be in Vanco Hall. Okay. Yeah.
They are just without their edition.
Okay. So they are in Vanco Hall. It's just that last slide that I shared may not be there, but I can make sure that the updated one gets added.
In both the instances of Caddy and the library, I was just curious to know if you include community in your feedback surveys. You know, we do a lot of catering for outside groups, for alumni, likewise for library resources. Do you incorporate that?
It depends on what the survey or what the feedback we're looking for is. Our primary, the library's primary mission is to support the students and the faculty and staff of the campus. That's our primary purpose for existing. We are open to the public. We do provide some services to the community. We do occasionally, some of our surveys and things would be applicable to community. So there are times when, like, we've done a dot survey or things like that where we have solicited some feedback from the community. But a lot of our things would be aimed more directly at students specifically or at faculty staff because it has to do with very specific academic focus. But there are some things that we would. Yeah.
Well, and sometimes, you know, everything that, I mean, we assess a lot of stuff, but that doesn't necessarily make, you know, everything doesn't make it to the plan, right? So with cater tracks, yeah, there are those surveys, and that's not part of the plan at this point, but that doesn't mean it won't be, you know, at some point, but we do look at the surveys and we do, you know, evaluate based on those. In regards to just traffic counts, I mean, that's everybody. So when when we talk about like the $5 deals analysis, that's everybody. That, you know, anyone can use that. Sometimes we look at the difference, like how many people are paying cash or debit card, credit card, because we know they're not campus people. But it's hard because a lot of faculty and staff also use their debit card. So, you know, or cash, right? So it's kind of a little more difficult to ascertain between the two groups for that, but they are included in that because we're open to the public.
You guys did a great job. I think this is probably the best assessment session I've attended in my time at Delhi, so kudos there. Christina, you mentioned that you've brought back student workers for the first time this semester right now.
Yeah.
So was there an approval process, and how'd you go about doing that? Is it something I would consider doing with the fitness center or student staff?
I just, basically, we talked about it, and I had to get Res Life to approve their early arrival. You have to pay for their meals, so we're paying for, you know, the meals when, you know, before the meal plans go live, so that's something, you know, that we... Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if it was really Jason or Andy. I don't know. I think I talked to everybody. But, you know, and actually what's growing out of this is like maybe somehow we can coordinate. So next year they're already doing RA training. So maybe there are some things that we can do together on that day that will, you know, help us both. You know, maybe there's something that we can do that their RAs can join in on, or something that, you know, vice versa. So it's, the possibilities are endless. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Right. Right, yeah, because in like the closing the loop or whatever, spiral, whatever we're calling it now, in that kind of end of the year report, what? Continuous improvement, yeah. So in that like final report of that, what you're assessing, you're kind of putting those ideas out on what you can do to improve on the assessment results you received. So that was something that we kind of just threw out there. You know, we weren't sure when it would happen, and the stars aligned, and we're like, we start on a Wednesday, right? So that was like perfect because we can bring students back on Sunday. We can have training day on Monday. Bronco Ready Day is Tuesday. First day of classes is Wednesday. You know, so we don't need, at this point, a whole week of training like the RAs do. But to have a day to do customer service, allergens, food safety, just general safety is going to be huge for us. I'm very excited.
Thank you all, and I think lunch is next, so